Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Charity. If you're new here, you're watching Booked on Charity. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 22 sci-fi slash fantasy books that I want to read in 2022. So without wasting any time, I'm just gonna get straight into it because I don't want this video to be very long. So the first book I have is a YA fantasy, and this is Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray. It follows this, I think it's YA, so it follows a young girl who works at a night zoo caring for some fearsome creatures in order to pay her family's debts, and one day she unleashes one of these creatures and I think she comes into some kind of power. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to reading this one. I thought I would get a chance to read it in December, but I haven't gotten a chance to do it, and today is the 28th of December, so it's not gonna happen. The next two books are from the same author. And the first one is David Mogo God Hunter, and this is an African inspired fantasy, and this is by Suyu Davis Okumboa. This story is set in Lagos in Nigeria. It follows a demigod who is also a god hunter, and their job is to capture two of the most powerful gods in the city and deliver them to a wizard gangster. It sounds like it's gonna be a great time. The next one I have is Son of the Storm by Suyu Davis Okumboa, and this follows Danso, who is a scholar in the city of Bassa. So this whole story happens or takes place in the city of Bassa, and the people of Bassa have basically been told that there's nothing beyond Bassa, and no one is really allowed to leave Bassa. And no one is technically not allowed to enter Bassa, but they do get foreigners who come into Bassa, and those foreigners are sworn to secrecy and they're not supposed to talk about what they've seen out there. And Danso believes that there is something out there and he wants to find out. He's kind of like rebelling against his calling. So yeah, this book follows multiple POVs, like multiple POVs. I think the main people are Danso and Esheme, who is betrothed to Danso, but there's a lot of other people to follow. This book also has a lot of terminology that I think probably a lot of us will not be aware of or understand, and the book does not have a glossary. However, on Suyu's website, there is a glossary, a full glossary available that will help you with reading this book. The next book I've had, since I got back into reading, it's one of the oldest books that I own on my shelves, and that is Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. So The Last Witch Doctor. So this book follows witch doctors, and I think there's a young witch doctor, it says that Ara yearns for magic of her own, but she fails at bone magic, fails to see the future, and fails to call upon the ancestors. With each passing year, her ambitious mother looks on with her ever-growing disapproval. But there is one thing Ara hasn't tried. It is possible to trade years from your own life for a taste of power. A cheap trick with a heavy price, for you cannot know how much time each ritual will take. So I've never actually really read the synopsis of this book before, but reading this actually makes me want to read it sooner rather than later. So I hope that I can do that. The next book I have is another one that I started so long ago and I had for so long ago, and I thought I would have finished it by now, but clearly I have not. And I am going to give it another chance because actually I've heard good things about it, but I think I was just not in the right space when I read this book, therefore I did not really follow it properly. And that is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I got to like page 110 or so, about this much. I read this much, but I'm gonna reread it. I do remember what happened in the book thus far, but I think it will be beneficial for me to read it from scratch and catch the little glimpse of information that I probably missed the first time around that didn't make me feel like I wanted to really continue with the book. The next one I have is a middle grade, and that is Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan. I haven't read anything from Rick Riordan before, so this follows Anna, whose family had attended a legendary academy where they train the best underwater explorers, and apparently Anna witnesses a tragedy and her life changes after that. So we'll see what happens. I also thought that I would have time to read this book, but I did not have time to do that. The next book is also another one that I've had literally from the beginning of me getting back into reading, and that is Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marla and James. This book has featured in multiple TBR videos, but I never picked it up. I think maybe because of the size and because I keep telling myself these book, like with big books, I want to have like a lot of time in order to be able to get into them and read them, but I don't do it. So I think in this book we follow a tracker. Tracker is a hunter known throughout the 13 kingdoms as one who has a nose, and he always works alone, but he breaks his own rules. When hired to find a lost child, he finds himself part of a group of hunters all searching for the same boy. Each of these companions is stranger and more dangerous than the last, from a giant to a witch to a shape-shifting leopard, and each has a secret of their own. My question is, why do they all need to find this kid so bad? That's what I'm asking. But yeah, I really need to read this one. I heard good things about this book, and I also heard that it's kind of like slow paced, but I guess it being the first book in a trilogy, the author has to probably give us a whole bunch of information, which a lot of fantasy authors tend to do that. I like a bit more fast paced and action in between the world building, not necessarily a whole bunch of world building and we see nothing happen and then you forget details and then you get action at the end. But yeah, the next book that I want to read that I'm so excited about and I really need to pick up and just stop making excuses is A House of Earth and Blood. Yes, it's A House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is a Crescent City series. This is the first book in the series. The second book is coming out in February, I think. I'm so excited. So I definitely need to read this. Literally in January, I need to read this book. I want it to be one of the first books that I read. But I don't know what this book's about. Bryce Kinlan used to light up Crescent City, partying all night in the clubs where the strict classes of angel, shifter, human, and fae merge into a sea of beautiful bodies. And then a demon murdered her closest friends. 2 years later, when the supposed killer is behind bars but the crime starts up again, the city's leaders command Bryce to help investigate. Okay. I don't know, but a lot of people really love this book. I'm anticipating to love this book. I hope that I do. I can be quite critical, so we'll see how it goes. The next book I have is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas as well. This is the latest book in A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've only read the first book in the series. I have the second book, which will also be featured in this video, and then I've got the last book. Well, it's not, it's the recent book. I don't know if it's the last book, so I'm still missing like 2 books in between, which I'll definitely be buying in 2022 because it's one of the series that I want to complete in 2022. So this is this is another book that's going into my 22 books to read in 2022. I'm not going to read what this is about because it's going to be spoiler for me. These books, however, that I'm mentioning, it's not new releases or anything like that. It's all the books that I currently have on my shelves that are fantasy and sci-fi that I want to finish in 2022. It's basically me, the books that I have a backlist. I have a 2021 backlist which contains about 110 books, but these 22 books are books that I have to finish. I need to finish these ones. Yeah, I'm mostly a fantasy reader, and I'm trying to get into a lot of sci-fi, so I do suspect that I'm going to be reading more fantasy this year than any other genre. So that's why this is my playing ground. Okay. The next book I have is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is the first series in, what's the name of the series? The Last Hours. It's the Last Hour series. I absolutely love these covers. I have no idea what this book is about. I started reading it some months ago. I probably got like 20 pages in, which, I mean, that is literally nothing. But I told myself that I keep telling myself that with these big books, I need a huge chunk of time to like sit down and just read for hours, which is what I thought I would have in December. But December didn't really happen the way that December was supposed to happen. Or maybe it did. Maybe I put too much expectations in myself. But yeah, Chain of Gold is the next one. Okay, and then obviously we've got Chain of Iron. I think you guys already know that I've owned these two hardbacks, and this is a second book. I don't know if there's going to be a third book in 2022. I'll have to do some Googles and find out. The next book I have is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm not going to read the synopsis of this book because I've already read the first one and I don't want to be spoiled. So yeah, that's got it into my pile. The next book that I'm actually really excited for is the 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. I've heard really amazing things about this series. It's a trilogy. Yep. I've heard really great things about this trilogy. It's about the world ending for the last time. It starts with the Great Red Rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and a long dormant wounds rising up to fester. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. It's probably going to be another January book, so we'll have to see. The next one I have is 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I actually have been wanting to read this book for so long, but I keep telling myself that I probably need to finish the Shadow and Bone trilogy before getting into this one, but I think I'm really lying to myself. So you guys, please let me know down below if you've read both these series and if I actually need any background from Shadow and Bone trilogy to know what's happening here. I did read the first book, Shadow and Bone, but I haven't read Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. But I have 6 of Crows and I really want to read 6 of Crows. And I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do it because, I mean, in Shadow and Bone we didn't even mention any of the characters that are in here. So yeah, which is why I was actually disappointed, because watching the series on Netflix will lie to you. But anyway, this follows Kaz Brecker, the criminal mastermind of his group, and they get offered a chance to do a deadly heist to break into the Ice Accord, which is a military stronghold that has never been breached before, and retrieve a hostage whose knowledge could change gruesome magic forever. That sounds like a great time. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. And then I also have 9th House by Leigh Bardugo. I have a lot of books by Leigh Bardugo. Well, I guess I just have 3. But yeah, 9th House by Leigh Bardugo. So this is a dark academia book that happens at the University of Yale, and we follow Alex, who's the most unlikely member of the freshman class, a dropout and the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved crime. So he was hoping, or she was hoping, for a fresh start, and ends up getting into secret societies and things like that. So I'm looking forward to reading Ninth House. Okay, the next set of books I have are all sci-fi, and the first one is a YA sci-fi called The Upper World, and we follow Esso, who can see glimpses of the future, and he gets haunted by one of his visions that he sees, and I don't know what happens after that. I don't want to know what happens after that because I want to read this book. So yeah, I am looking forward to reading this one. It's not a very long book, and the thing that always makes me a little bit nervous about sci-fi is hoping that it's not going to be science crazy and not easily comprehensible. So I hope this one isn't. Okay, so the next set of books are from the same author, and that is The Three-Body Problem by Shijin Liu and translated by Ken Liu. I'm not sure if there's any relation to the two. So this is the first book in the trilogy. Second book is The Dark Forest, and then the third book is Death's End, all by Shijin Liu and all translated by Ken Liu. This is a sci-fi based on, I have no idea what. I tried reading this book, but I think I was too hung up on trying to understand the science, and I didn't understand it, and then I kind of stopped. So now I need to go back again and kind of like brush through the science and read to understand the story. So that's what I'm gonna do. But this is the 3 books in the series, and then the 4th book I have is Hold Up the Sky, which is not part of the series. It's a standalone short story collection by Shijin Liu. This one doesn't say whether it was translated or not. I mean, this book was blurred by Barack Obama, who said it's wildly imaginative and really interesting. So I'm looking forward to reading this book. I'm looking forward to reading this one. And then the last 2 books I have, I've got Artemis by Andy Weir. Is it Andy Weir or Andy Wire? I'm gonna say Andy Weir. Somebody help down below. So this says, welcome to Artemis, the first city on the moon. Population 2,000, mostly tourists, some criminals. So Jazz is a small-time criminal subsiding work as a porter on the moon with smuggling a little contraband, but it's never enough. When she's offered the chance to get rich quick, she jumps at it, but planning the perfect crime in 1/6 gravity was never going to be easy, especially as there is a conspiracy at the heart of Artemis. At first it was about the money, then it was about control, now it's about survival. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be really fun. And then the last book that I have is Warcross by Mary Lou. I've not read anything from Mary Lou, but I think this is like sci-fi gaming type book. It says player, hunter, hacker, pawn. Some people will say that Warcross is just a stupid game. Others say it's a revolution. Tonight I can join in with everybody else, put on my glasses and watch magic happen. So I don't know. I've never read a game-based book, so I have no idea what to look out for. I have not read Ready Player One, but I watched Ready Player One and enjoyed watching Ready Player One. So I think I might actually enjoy reading this book. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me today and watching this video. I hope that you like it. Remember to give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe to this channel down below, especially when you're new, and maybe you've also been here a while and you have not subscribed, please do so down below. It is absolutely free. Yeah, and share this video with your friends and family if you like to do so, and I'll see you guys in my next one.